The table saw is a floor model power tool that consists of a high power motor mounted under a stable and flat table-like base. A circular blade is attached to the motor's arbor, which can be configured in very exacting angles in comparison to the tabletop. A fence system is included to rip material along its length in evenly cut strips, or slots in the top of the table can accommodate fences and gauges that can cut across a piece, cutting them down to length. The table saw is the most dangerous piece of equipment in the woodshop. Use caution and respect when learning, using, and being around this machine. Before using any tool, be sure to do the following. Go to the Woodshop Canvas page, download the liability waiver, read, sign, and submit it to the portal. Complete the Woodshop General Safety module by reading the emergency and general safety policies, review the Woodshop standard operating procedures, watch the associated video, and take the General Shop Safety quiz. Once these are completed, review each module for the tools you wish to use. Watch the videos, review the manual, and take the quiz. You must wear eye protection when using any tools in the woodshop. You must wear ear protection when using any power tools in the woodshop. You must wear a dust mask when creating any dust. These are found next to the main entrance. De-energize the tool by unplugging it before changing or inspecting the blade. The blade should be kept below the table while not in use. To inspect the blade, use the blade height adjustment dial found below the table. If you wish to make a beveled cut, use the blade angle adjuster found on the right side below the table. To inspect the blade, raise the blade guard by loosening its tensioning knob. With the table saw de-energized, inspect the blade by spinning it slowly and looking at the teeth. Make sure a riving knife is installed behind the blade. This helps prevent kickback by splitting the wood on the rear of the blade, not allowing it to cross the blade's path once cut. Make sure to plan your work thoroughly before using the table saw. Here we are going to cut a 4-inch strip from this piece of 3/4 inch plywood. Know what type of cut you are making. There are rip cuts and cross cuts. This will be a rip cut, which means the width of the cut is less than the length of the board. For this cut, we will use a rip fence. We move the rip fence using the ruler found on the saw to 4 inches. Then we lock the fence. With the saw still de-energized, we check the width of the cut from the fence to the inside of the teeth of the blade. The blade is 1/8 inch thick and will remove that amount of material from your workpiece. Lower the blade guard so that it is just above your work material. Be sure that the off-cut table is free of clutter. Do a dry run with the saw de-energized and the blade fully below the table. This can help plan the cut to make sure there are no obstructions and so that you are more comfortable with the cut before proceeding. Make sure your push sticks are within reach. Make sure your work material is flat without warps or twists. Make sure the material is flat on at least 2 sides, the side that is down against the table and the side that will be riding along the fence. If your material is not flat on these sides, you must make it flat before proceeding. Raise the saw blade to be 1 sawtooth above the material, or about 1/4 inch above your material. Turn the dust collection system on and open the gates that are connected to the table saw. Re-energize the saw by plugging it in. Turn the power switch on to the control box below the table. You will have to wait for the blinking lights to stop before you are able to power on the saw. Place your work material on top of the table, making sure to keep the edge against the rip fence and the face flat on the table. Turn the saw on with the large red switch, pulling it towards you. The saw will then power up and you can get ready to cut. Always remember to apply 3 directions of pressure onto your work material: down against the table, over against the fence, and steadily back through the saw blade. Do not let go of the material until it is all the way through the blade and the saw is completely shut off. If the material is unsupported, it can be ejected from the saw. When cutting, make sure to stand to the side of the blade. Do not stand directly behind the blade or between the blade and the fence. This will limit personal injury if there is kickback or ejection of material. Wait for the blade to fully stop before retrieving your material. Do not touch the offcut until the blade is fully stopped. Never try to cut stacks of material. Never cut metal on the table saw. This can trigger the safety mechanism on the saw stop table saw. Always use a blade guard, like the one provided by the dust collection shroud. Always use the riving knife. Never use the miter fence in conjunction with the rip fence or vice versa. Be aware of kickback and how to prevent it. Kickback is one of the leading causes of injury on a table saw. Never push work into the back side of the blade. This can create kickback. Apply the feed force between the saw blade and the rip fence. The circular blade spins towards you, the user. Be aware of this. Your body parts should not be closer than 5 inches away from the blade. If you are cutting something less than 5 inches in width, be sure to use the push sticks or the gripper push block to aid with pushing material through the blade. Make sure the workpiece is clean and dry, with no obstructions, including any hardware, nails, or screws. Do not allow others to distract you while on the table saw. No one but the operator should be behind the table saw, ever. Only the operator should feed the material through the table saw. Do not try to cut any conductive material with the saw stop table saw. There is a safety mechanism that will drop the blade if it comes into contact with anything conductive. Read the user manual for more information. Never cut freehand without the aid of a fence or sled. Push the work firmly at a consistent speed through the saw blade to not bog down the motor or burn the material with friction. Never let the material go until the piece is fully past the blade and the machine is turned off. If you are cutting material larger than the table saw's surface, you must get help from the woodshop technician. Even in this case, only the operator should be behind the saw feeding the material through.